and narrative to provide the events for general information only, and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Any performance reference is historical, and there is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged, may not be invested into directly. Any economic forecast set forth during the event may not develop as predicted. There can be no guarantee that any strategy will be successful. These have opinions. So those are Gimbal Financial and general represent the views of LPL Financial. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, a member of FINRA and SIPC, and investment advice offered through Gimbal Financial, registered investment advisor, separate entity from LPL Financial.
Amanda, how good were you at memorization when you were in school? That is impressive. Oh, I was like, that is impressive right there.
Still today, I mean, I still need some guidance on reading that, but it's starting to become more memorized.
I like it. I saw a disclaimer last week while I was cruising around, and I thought I would just share it with you guys. I went for a walk across a bridge across the Ohio River, and up on the top of this 40 or 50 foot cliff is a sign that says "Do not mow." I just thought it was like a lot of disclaimers in life. It's like, okay, I think I can not mow up there. What do you think?
Looks easy enough to avoid that.
That's really hilarious. I mean, like, my mower has a roll bar on it, and you know, that roll bar is there for a reason, because maybe somebody tried to mow something like that at one point in time.
Hold my beer.
Oh, that's really good.
Doug, do you decorate with the pictures behind you every week based on what season of the year we're in, or how do you determine that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. No, I am right now, I am somewhere west of Bean Blossom and south of, I think it's called Unionsville. Yeah, I'm in the woods today. It's a beautiful day to be in the woods. And somewhere camo as a fashion statement, but I wear it when I go walk in the woods. Like I was going to
ask if that was just your window behind you, or if that truly was some art.
Yeah, it's a beautiful picture, but and it is gorgeous as art can be. My goodness, it's beautiful to wake up on a fall day. It was 21 degrees when I woke up this morning, and I think my fingers are thawed out now, so all good.
I got to go to an art studio last week while I was out of town. I went to a pottery business, and it was really fascinating.
I think you've done back-to-back art studios, right?
Oh yeah, what do you?
Didn't you go to one in Nashville?
Oh yeah, we went. I went to a couple there. Yeah, I went to a glass studio where they're blowing glass and some other things. Yeah, but what I discovered is I think there at some point in history that Louisville was really a big deal in pottery, and a couple of the businesses down there. One's Hadley, and I think it's Louisville Pottery, I think is the name of it. We've got the Hadley mugs here in the office, and our attorney friend Charlie has the Louisville ones, but they worked at some point during history together. Hadley actually did some artwork for the Louisville one many years ago, and but ironically, what I discovered is the clay that they use for all those comes out of Southern Indiana. So who knew?
I tell you, that's just capitalism at work. Capitalism at work, meeting the needs of the artist. You just can't beat it.
No, it's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. Well, I thought I'd give us a quick update on some world happenings, but I thought maybe we'd see what's going on and happening with Eric before we send him flying with the beautiful birds behind him.
Yeah.
Birds in the bee.
So something that happened this week that was pretty eye-opening and just a good refresher. I had a friend who's not much older than I am, and her husband was diagnosed with brain cancer and was told he only has a couple more months to venture on this earth. And so that was pretty big news, scary news for them, but they're at peace with it. And it's just a big eye-opening experience that, we're not guaranteed another day on Earth. So tomorrow is tomorrow is an unknown, and we should definitely take each day and try to live it to the best of our abilities, and just really enjoy and be thankful the time that we have with each other and with family.
That's a good word. One of the things we have operating 24/7, this thing never sleeps, is we have a list of people who are going through struggles. And, there's several people on that list over the years where we're thinking of you. And that's the relationship part of this, that it's kind of unquantifiable. The investments, the numbers, your money, all that's very important to us. But who you are, where you are in life, how your health is doing, that's equally as important.
That's right. Absolutely. And I think we believe that so deeply that fits into even our financial planning advice, that we would much more encourage you to live life to the fullest than to accumulate more wealth, because you don't know how many days you got on the planet Earth. And so the idea of making the most out of every day and balancing your financial resources is really, it's a hard lesson, because most of the media is presenting the idea that you just need to save more and more. And we just think that there's a tightrope that you can find balance on.
I think we've got a little bit of an advantage being in this business, because we've seen it work out for other people, their finances. Individually, you might be battling the thought of, do I have enough? Will this last me and my spouse? And, we're coming from the angle where we've seen several people go through that life cycle and make it just fine. And so that seeing that, knowing that, helps us take confidence that your time is your most valuable asset.
Absolutely. So I guess that's a good lead in to encourage everybody this week to make the most out of their Thanksgiving week and their time with family. And as I was working on the anchor for next month, it occurred to me that a real important financial principle is in the lines of communication. Is it's much better to write good things to people, and if you have to say something, say it to them
Quietly,
to their face. Yeah. And
don't yell it.
Yeah, probably during the holidays is the best time to do good things, but to keep, as I say in my house, keep your pie hole closed, because it's a very stressful time. Both holidays seem to be very stressful and can be challenging. And so why it's financially motivated is a lot of broken relationships can happen by saying the wrong things, writing the wrong things. Texting is a horrible thing, I think, to do during the holidays, because people can't gather the emotions, the context, and the genuineness of what you're saying. And so just think and speak well of one another when you get together this holiday season, and I think it'll be a productive and profitable one for everybody.
My grandma also used to say, if you have something bad to say about someone, wait till they leave the room.
That's like a wise grandma.
Take that advice or don't. But
I'm not leaving this room.
I think what he said is much better. Much better.
That's really good.
Wow. All right. Well, Doug, why don't you tell us what we need to know about what's going on in the world of high finance?
Well, something I was reading was just supply chain stuff, and there's a great picture. I'm gonna share this. Oh, I can't share it with you. Never mind.
Hang on.
Okay.
Hang on. Try now.
Okay, here we go. So let's see if I can find this. Okay. Do you guys see this picture?
Yeah.
Picture of the snails and the turtles?
Yeah.
I thought this was just
presents on them.
Yeah, so you've got the presents, you've got the turtle that topped over, and if you've been in the market for anything, you've seen the disruption of supply chain type stuff. And this article, what it was talking about was talking about Christmas presents, and specifically it was talking about things like toys and gifts and gadgets and things that fit in a box underneath the tree. And one of them that they addressed was this company that they, I think it's Cabbage Patch Kids
Oh, yeah.
something like that. I guess there's like, that's a retro thing. And,
Yeah.
and so, you know, trying to find a Cabbage Patch doll. I can remember my mom and dad trying to find my sister's Cabbage Patch dolls. You know, God bless my parents for trying to do that. I mean, those things were expensive back then and hard to come by, but they're even more expensive and more hard to come by today. No, it's Care Bears. That's what it was.
Oh,
It's
Care
yeah.
Bears.
Care Bears. Sorry. And so like this one dude, he ordered like 100 and he's got like 185 different shipping containers all over, somewhere floating out there in the sea, full of Care Bears, and they're waiting on them to hit the port. And so, yeah, the transportation industry right now has some real unsolved opportunities. The demand is there, the demand from the consumer. You have folks who've been, you know, maybe their savings account or checking account is higher because of COVID. They haven't spent as much money as they normally would, and so they've got money to spend. And so the demand is there to do it. The supply is somewhere, but getting that off the ocean onto a rail car or onto a semi truck, that's the real challenge right now. And so it's going to be really interesting to watch this play out, because it's an unusual situation, you know, where you have the supply, you have the demand, but you have to have the vehicle literally to get both parties together. So I loved that picture where the snails were passing the turtles. I thought that was really great. A good picture of what we're seeing in supply chain.
Well, I think what you'll also see with that is inflationary process, because you know, I know that it's not as popular today that economics works, but it does. And so you know, if you have a reduction in supply, you have inflationary process, or if you have an increase in demand, it can be inflationary as well. And so the fact that we are, you know, the Federal Reserve has printed 40% more money than we had 18 months ago. That's very inflationary. The fact that the federal government is going to spend another $1.2 trillion is very inflationary. So not only is there a shortage in supply, you got a lot more competitors for that supply that's out there. You might find yourself actually competing with the federal government with the things that you're trying to buy, which you will, I think, begin to see maybe some relief in the supply things in the years ahead. But right now, the inflation rate's running at 6.2%. And toward the end of last year, the Federal Reserve predicted this year's inflation rate would be at 1.8%.
That was the prediction.
That's what they were predicting.
Yeah.
And so, and they also earlier this year told us,
and that's just about right though, Keith. You know, I mean, when you make a prediction, how often are you on it? But this is miles off.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. And I think the idea that the Federal Reserve controls the economy has been propagated over the last few decades, and they really don't. They are trying whatever they can. And really what's happened, and we've said this on the show a number of times, is a lot of things going on in our culture and our economy are reminiscent of the 1970s. And really, this inflation rate is the highest one we've seen since 1982. And that was some inflation even coming down as we were going into the early 80s. So yeah, inflation is a function of supply and demand, and we've got challenges on both the supply and the demand side right now.
I think one of the opportunities for people like us, people like you, is just exercise patience. This gives you time to really hone in what it is that you're about. If there's something you're looking for out there, something you need, you know, maybe it's just patience, and eventually these things work themselves out. And the strong hands, the ones with the cash, tend to do well in these types of environments. The extending yourself during these types of environments could get rough. So yeah, I'd say during this challenge over the next several months, probably just stay patient.
Yeah, I think, the idea of patience and housing is one of those areas of a short supply. And I think some of that supply has been limited because of some of the policies put in place by the government that didn't allow evictions. I don't want to be cold-blooded or heartless, but if you're renting somebody your property and they're not paying rent and the government says you can't kick them out,
Right.
those housing units are occupied and not available for sale. I wouldn't buy a rental from you, Doug, if you had a tenant in there who wasn't paying. And so,
Yeah.
that part of the supply has been locked up, and that's just been released here recently where they can begin to evict people. But even that, I don't think is a quick process to free up those properties. And we had some of that going on in the 2007 market, 2008, 2009, where those houses were just sitting unoccupied, or they were sitting by people that weren't paying the mortgages or the rents on those. But right now, the housing market, the new builds is up to about $1.55 million houses per year. That is almost the exact number that we need in the United States to replace houses that have been dilapidated, torn down, and to meet the population growth. So we're
Very cool.
Yeah, we're at kind of an even ground on the new housing builds. However, we haven't been there since 2006.
Right.
So there's been a shortage of new houses since 2006, and being at even isn't going to make up that shortage. So the housing market probably will continue to have some, pricing challenges. If you're on the buy side, it may be a good opportunity if you have multiple houses and you're looking to maybe diversify some of those properties. What do we want to look at? We want to look at the markets, Doug?
Yeah. If you want to, let's start with the NASDAQ.
I started here with just the industries, and we had the coal leading there for a while, and it's number 2, but this one was a shocking one to me, Doug. I'm on the wrong thing here. It selected. Oh, here we go. It's operator error. So retail department stores is the number 1 sector in the market right now. And if you'd have told me that a year ago, I couldn't even imagine that could be the case. It just seemed like the world was turning to Amazon, and Amazon's not included in this index.
Right.
And so these are the places that you go to the mall for. These are, this is really interesting to me.
Are they including like online sales in that now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
It includes, it's showing all the stocks in the group. The top stocks in this group include Macy's, Kohl's, Dillard's, Nordstrom. I don't even know that one, Amanda. Sindus.
Never heard of it.
And
I'm a shopper.
Joel Global. We're not recommending those. We're just telling you what are some of the components of this particular index. And so it's saying that, to me, it's saying that people, maybe it's I've been locked up and I want to get out kind of play. I don't know.
I'm sick of yoga pants. I want to wear jeans again. I need a whole new wardrobe. I need a new one last year and I need a new one this year.
That is a good point, though, Amanda. In all seriousness, is if people didn't go out and didn't buy new articles of clothing for this past fall, spring, summer, whatever, going into winter, it would make sense that there would be a little bit more demand going in. I didn't see it. I didn't. I just listened to the market and let it show us what to do. But this one and then the coal. I mean, if you would have asked me in January what's going to lead out, I don't even think these two would have been a thought.
Yeah. Well, while the coal's dropping off there, it's not as popular as it once was. So.
Look at that, though. Look at the run that it had. I mean, that spectacular run.
Came from the 17 on the index all the way to 57, and it's backed off quite a bit since.
Can you look at retail a year ago? I just was wondering, cyclically, if it's
so here is November.
The season,
right here's November. Yeah, so it didn't arc up like it is there.
Yeah.
But I while I was in Louisville last week, and we went to the mall on a Saturday morning, maybe 10 o'clock, and the parking lot was completely full.
Wow.
And I'm not a mall shopper, so I was not overly excited. I guess if I was investing in retail department stores, I'd be thrilled by that idea. So there you have it.
I stopped in one of my favorite stores last night at 9 o'clock, and it was still going. Rural King. It was still hopping.
That's awesome. Well, you were wanting me to pull up something, Doug, and I already.
Oh, yeah. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ.
Okay.
So again, for all of you who've been on this call for a while, you know this is a stock index. It's readily available. You can find it almost anywhere. If you type in Yahoo Finance, Google Finance, you can track the NASDAQ. And this is roughly 3,500 companies, and mostly tech oriented. There's healthcare. There's other things in here. Some of my favorite spaces are in here, like financial and tech combinations. But golly, it's still looking good. I mean, we had a pullback in September that was pretty tough, but the index overall has looked good. If we were to break down a couple sectors within this index, some haven't fared well, but overall the trend has been pretty good here. I think it looks pretty healthy.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, we've seen this week, we've seen a resurgence of some of the FANG stocks. We've talked about those in the past. That
what's Facebook called now?
Meta. Maybe
I thought their symbol was changing, but it doesn't appear that way. Their name has.
Maybe we call it the mangy stocks now. I don't know what we call it. The main. So I'll just go through these real quickly. So Facebook is not leading the way.
Yeah, compare that to the NASDAQ. I mean, it's a completely different picture.
Yeah, so Meta Platforms, and I saw a really funny commercial from Iceland on living in a meta world. The meta world is a virtual reality world that they're trying to get you to live in. The Iceland commercial, if you can see it, is pretty hilarious. So Meta is not jumping in there. We've seen basically nothing coming out of Apple for most of the last 6 months, and it's starting to show some life. Amazon, same thing. It wasn't doing anything really. It hadn't done anything all year. If you come across here,
and it can go in stretches like that.
Yeah, so it's starting to show
any stock can.
Netflix has been doing well this year, or this last half of the year. Google is chugging along just fine. Microsoft and the other part of Google is chugging along just nicely. So those stocks that we just went over represent 40% of the NASDAQ index. So you can see why the NASDAQ is performing so well. At the same time, only 40% of those total stocks that are in the NASDAQ are above this line right here, which is the 200-day moving average. So it's a lot of the performance is driven by the ones we just showed you. And so if you happen to be in some of those stocks that aren't in that, there's a good chance they're probably down below the 200-day moving average, which means they're trending downward probably.
One of the key things to investing that David Malik imparted on me was know what you own. And if you're ever curious, if you have an index or if you have a fund or an ETF and you want to know what you own, I mean, you can probably find it online, but I bet I could find it quicker for you. So, just, shoot me an email and let me know. But chances are, if there's a stock that you really like or are curious about, if you have something like an index or a mutual fund, you probably own it.
I think you're right. I think there's a good chance. What else do you have on your mind, Doug?
The only thing I have on my mind is that for anyone within maybe an hour drive of Carmel, your daughter just told me that the Clydesdales are marching through Carmel today at 4 o'clock. I'm not going to be in town, and I'm kind of bummed about that. I'm going to have to text my wife and kids and get them over there. I think that would be so cool to see. That is America right there. I love it.
Well, I don't know how to tell you this, Doug, but it's not America anymore.
I know. I know. Just even as that came out of my mouth, I was like, well, technically it's.
Yeah, Anheuser-Busch sold out to a foreign company a few years ago.
But that's the American way, is to sell out to the highest bidder.
There you have it. Well, going on in the world, the country, I think it's a country, it's a probably a British territory. Gibraltar is the most vaccinated place in the world, and they are having a COVID spike right now, and they are shutting down Christmas in Gibraltar. And I think my encouragement to everybody that's out there is to walk life courageously. Is that just as the Federal Reserve didn't know what inflation was going to be, our government officials are just ordinary people trying to make decisions, and they will say all kinds of things. But whether you've been vaccinated or you've not been vaccinated, whether you've had COVID or you've not had COVID, why don't you just keep living and enjoying the moment and making the most out of the days? I think would be my encouragement in regards to that.
I'm going to support that with some data
Okay.
from the COVID tracker last week. The infection rate of all ages, or I should say the infection fatality rate of all ages with COVID-19 is estimated to be 0.6%. So as you're heading, that's a really
So a
low.
99.4% survival rate.
Yeah, so live adventurously, live courageously, enjoy your families this holiday season. And a lot of us are probably, this is the first time in 2 years
I hadn't thought of it that way.
to get together with family for the holidays. So just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because your likelihood of dying from COVID is slim.
And your likelihood of not living is 100% on you, whether you live or not today. You can go see the Clydesdales, you can go out in the woods, you can do whatever. That's all on you today, and I encourage you to live. I think the last thing I'd throw out there to you is, if you have mutual funds, I'm going back to the financial side of things. If you have mutual funds, outside of things maybe that we've done for you, you might pay close attention because it's been such a profitable 18 months in the market. 2021, my prediction will be, is a thing called phantom income will become reality again this year. And phantom income is created by the capital gains either we might create in your accounts or that you might have in mutual funds that you have. It's income that doesn't actually come into your checking account or your spending account, but it's income as far as the government looks at it. And mutual funds have traditionally created a lot of that. I know some of the accounts that we've managed, we've created somewhere between 5 and 10 or 12% of kind of income inside those accounts by the gains we've taken throughout this year. This particular fund company I was looking at, they sent us an example of their current estimated capital gains for 2021, and they ranged, it looks like they range anywhere from 5%, and their one of their accounts has almost 40% capital gains this year. And so there will be surprises for people. If you have any questions or concerns on that in your own accounts, or like I said, funds that you're holding somewhere else, we can sure talk to you independently outside of this meeting and help.
Where that gets really, really tough is if you just bought that fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had traded something like Facebook on your behalf, and you just bought it. Well, you get to participate in the gains.
Yeah, so they generally will pay those capital gains in the first couple of weeks of December.
Yeah.
And so if you have questions, it's probably between now and then, it's probably the best time to give us a call. After that point, those capital gains will have been realized and part of your tax history for next year. So.
Great. This is our last one before Thanksgiving, or even after Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So we're taking off next Friday. We won't have one, but happy Thanksgiving to all, and have a great holiday.
I'll look forward to it. See you guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.